Yo, what's going on, everybody? You know who this is. This is me, Trayvon Jones, Conscious Talk Channel, where I like to talk to you, my people, indigenous people of America, by the way. I just looked at this interview with Nia Long and Jeezy, and I thought it was a decent interview. I'm reading a lot of the comments, because I've also checked out some of these women content creators out here, saying all these negative things about Jeezy, saying that he's doing damage control. And, they're painting the narrative that this is Jeezy's fault, the reason why they're getting a divorce. Now, he's the one that's initiated this divorce. Jeannie Mai wanted to hold on to the divorce. She's finally coming to the realization that there's no point in holding on to this relationship, but Jeezy felt the need to talk about his situation, talk about a little bit because he didn't get into a lot of detail about it, but just to be able to just kind of say what he wanted to say about this particular situation. And he didn't embarrass you know his wife, ex-wife to be. He didn't do any of those things. you know he was vulnerable, in some of the things that he was talking about, which is a big taboo in the so-called black community, the so-called black African American community. For some reason, it's a big issue when black men, want to express themselves and say how they feel. For some reason, that is a problem. And it's not only a problem with women, but a lot of men have a problem with men doing this as well. Because we've been taught that that's soft, that is weak. You are supposed to hold, you know, in how you feel. And we all know when you do that, it comes out in different ways. You explode in different ways. And now you're raging and doing something that you really shouldn't have to be doing. Now we have popularized, you know, going to a therapist, speaking to a therapist. And I don't have a problem with going to a therapist. I think that therapists are useful. I think black men should find a black male therapist that they can go to and confide in and be able to have a conversation if that's what they choose to do. I don't really see black men just confiding in women because women are not going to have the same understanding. And women are always equate what they're going through and you know their side of things. So you need a black man to be able to talk to be able to express yourself. And we've popularized this, and I believe that it's a good thing, you know, if this is what you choose to do. But I'm one of those type of men who doesn't have a problem expressing themselves. I don't have a problem with telling you when I'm upset and when I'm angry. I don't give a fuck about how you feel about it. I don't care about if you think it's soft, if you think, well, men shouldn't do that and men shouldn't talk to women this way and men shouldn't. No, I'm going to tell you how I feel and how I think. I'm going to express to you what you did or what you said that was fucked up or shitty or whatever the situation was. I don't have to go to a therapist to express how I feel. I have no problems with expressing myself at all. And I think more men should be able to do that without being criticized, although that that's going to come with it. And a lot of men are going to criticize you as well. You're going to have women to do it, but you're going to have a lot of men that are going to do it as well. And that's okay. That's okay. Because we have to be retrained to be able to express ourselves. And you don't have to be vulgar. You don't have to be just downright disrespectful. You don't have to be mean when you are expressing yourself. But you can do it. And a lot of times we have come into a culture where you can't tell women nothing. Women feel like you should worship the ground that they walk on, that you can't tell them nothing about themselves that's negative, because automatically, you being a man, it's your fault. It's your problem. You are the problem. You are the reason we're going through what we're going through. This is a narrative that's always being painted. So men, it's hard for men to express themselves, but you need to be able to be quote unquote vulnerable. This is the narrative that they're painting, that you're being vulnerable. And I don't think that that's being vulnerable at all. I think that that's being human. I think that that's human nature. And some way along the line, men have been taught, no, you don't talk. You don't speak, and say that to no woman. You don't argue with a woman. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Now I'm not for just arguing with women and sitting up here, going off on bitches and shit like that. I ain't really into all that shit either. But you should be able to express yourself. But the problem is that when you do that, you're automatically looked down upon, and you're going to be cut off. They're going to start talking over you. They're going to automatically start penalizing you and degrading you and shaming you and using shaming tactics. And see, that's where the argument comes. And that, because I believe that you can have disagreements without it actually turning into an argument. But where the argument comes in is where you start getting shaming tactics, where you're getting a bunch of women agreeing together and trying to shame a man for expressing himself, because it doesn't fit in the light of the man being wrong. And that's an issue. That's a major issue that we face in the so-called African American Black community. And we have to stop doing that. Criticizing men because they're quote unquote being vulnerable, because they're speaking how they feel, because they went through some things that have shaped their lives and the way that they think and how they are now. We have to get to the root of why people do what they do, why they feel the way they feel, and why they act the way they act. We need to be able to not shame black men, so-called black men, because of this. We got to quit doing that, and we have to quit allowing people to do that to us, because we have a right to express ourselves. We have a right to voice our opinions, and we have a right to be able to say how we feel. Because when women do it, they're praised. Oh, you're strong. Thank you for, girl, you giving me hope and freedom. But you got a lot of black women and content creators over here talking about how he's doing damage control and how it was his fault and how weak he is and all this type of shit. See, what I saw was a so-called black man, an Aboriginal native Indian of America, Aborigine of America. What I saw was a strong man trying to bring black men and black women together and saying, listen, we both have problems. We both go through what we go through. And he picked the right person to have this conversation with. He picked Nia Long because he felt comfortable talking to a strong, beautiful woman who, even though we saw what, she went through with, her man, and she was being, pulled here and there and talked about all on social media, but she still kept her integrity and she upheld herself like a lady. She has class. So he felt comfortable enough to talk to a black woman who ain't shaking her ass and got her tits hanging all out, acting all ignorant and ghetto and being ratchet and want to just throw salt out about a man who publicly embarrassed her. This could have been a big opportunity for her to just go out and just bash him. But she didn't do all of that. She's a lady with class. So yeah, he wanted to talk to a woman who embodies those, those qualities that obviously he looks up to, that he respects. And those are the type of women that are attractive. But unfortunately, our generation of women are ratchet as fuck. or at the very least, just disregard men, degrade men, talk down to men, and have this whole campaign on just being evil towards men. So he went to a black woman that he respects, and now all of a sudden, he's still a villain because he had a baby with this Asian woman. You know what I'm saying? And, he was with this Asian woman, he was divesting. Like, that's the culture now. That's what people do. But it's just amazing how black men are able to divest better than black women. And that's an issue for black women, a lot of black women. They have a problem with the fact that they can't do what we do. See, we can say, listen, we're not dealing with you, and go somewhere else and get better results. So yeah, he felt comfortable enough to talk with a woman who embodies class. But what did black women take from this? He's just doing damage control. It was his fault. He's the reason why they're getting a divorce. And, and although, Jeannie Mai, she clearly stated that she likes white men. That's what she likes. Because it fits a better narrative, for someone being on her arm. It's just that the culture that we live in now, it's acceptable for her to have a black man, although she just only really just likes black men for sex. But the culture that we in now, because black men are divesting all over the place, so now it just fits the narrative for her to be with this black man, and it's making her brand look good. But she told you the type of man that she likes and the type of man that she's interested in. And it ain't no black man, as far as someone that she can go out with in public and be, have on her arm and, marry and, and all these type of things for that look. But she'll screw a black man in a minute. And I'm pretty sure she had a long list of black dudes that she was fucking. But of course, black women on this internet have made it their issue to say that, no, it was Jeezy that had the problem. And he's just doing damage control when it had nothing to do with that. It had nothing to do with damage control. He's speaking his truth. And that's really all it really is. He's speaking his truth. But for some reason, we condemn so-called black men, Aborigines of America. We condemn us for doing that. We condemn black men for doing that. And it's got to stop. It has got to stop. Black men doing it. And these are a lot of the black men that are raised by single women, mothers, who are doing this. Have something to say. And it's ridiculous. But we're at a different time where we realize that being able to speak and express ourselves is healing. It is beneficial. It helps us mentally and otherwise. You cannot hold shit in. You have to express yourself. Women do it all the time. And they're praised for it. Men do it too, but they're vilified for it. But you got to stop giving a fuck about being vilified, men. You have to be able to express yourself in a positive way, because you don't have to be negative. But you can still tell someone how you feel. And I have no problem with telling people how I feel, especially when I feel like they've crossed me and they've done something wrong to me. And I don't give a fuck how you feel about it. I don't care how you take that. Oh, you're being mean to me, or you're being sexist towards me, or you're being racist towards me. I have no problem with telling you how what you're doing is damaging or just simply not necessary. And you're being a racist, or you're being a control freak, or you're the one that's bringing the problem. We got to learn how to stop doing that and stop coddling other people's feelings. And this is what Jeezy is simply doing. He's expressing himself. He's saying, look, she was the issue. She was the issue. I tried to forgive some shit. I can't do it. But you got a lot of black women over here looking at him like he is the issue. And that's amazing to me. How we have fallen so far apart because what he's trying to do is bring black men and black women together. But unfortunately, it just can't happen. It's not going to happen. And we realize that. We realize it. But we got to move on with our lives and we got to do better, you know, and we have to obviously think of ourselves, you know, as quote unquote black men. We have to think of ourselves and we have to start learning how to put ourselves first. Like Jeezy said, yo, we got to put ourselves first. Sometimes you have to do that. And like Nia Long said, you can love people from a distance. But like Jeezy said, but you ain't gotta you don't never forget what they did. Yeah, you can forgive for yourself, but you ain't gotta deal with that person. You ain't gotta deal with that shenanigan, especially if you know that person has not changed and they are still evil, vindictive, they still shitty, still not gonna do the right thing by you. They still gonna treat you like shit. You don't need a person like that in your life. A person like that, you get rid of immediately. And you don't have to be mean to that person. You don't have to talk down to that person. If you see that person in the street or whatever the situation, hey, how you doing? And you keep on moving. You ain't got to have no long drawn conversations, but you can be nice and cordial to that person and keep on moving with your life. And that speaks more volumes than anything, that I ain't fucking with you like that. I ain't dealing with you like that. But I forgive you because I'm not going to hold on to some anger and animosity that is going to hurt me. And I'm not going to just let you get away with it and not tell you what I think or how I feel or what you did to me. See, I've done that. I've held on to anger from family members that have said things, that have done horrible things to me, and that have said horrible things to me, and try to, in a lot of ways, make me the black sheep of the family. A lot of this has happened on, especially on my mother's side of the family. You know, they're horrible individuals. You know, and I just don't deal with them. You know, but I realize how not expressing how you feel and telling them how you feel is damaging to you because they need to know exactly how you feel. They need to know that what they did to you was fucked up. So I don't live in a world anymore where I just don't express myself. And again, I don't care how you feel about it because ultimately you're damaging yourself when you're holding on to anger. You're holding on to it and you ultimately can put that off on other people that don't even deserve it. They don't deserve it at all. But you're putting your anger off on them because they might have done something that reminded you of your auntie who's a fucking bitch, or your grandfather who tried to alienate you and make you the black sheep of the fucking family. But then you have family members like your mother who still loves them. That's their family. But it angers you because it's like you saw what they did, but you didn't say nothing because you were weak, you know, because that's your family. So being able to express yourself and to speak is very important. It's very important, and holding things in only makes it worse for you. So I agree with, you know, talking to someone and talking to, you know, that can help you. If that's something that can soothe you to help you, I think that you should. But me personally, I like to go to the source to the people who did that. And whether they understand or whether they react a certain way or they get angry or, you know, they are hostile towards you, I don't give a fuck about none of that. I'm going to tell you how the fuck I feel about what the fuck you said or what you did. And I don't give a fuck how you feel about it. You need to understand. And later on, you'll get it. You'll get it. Because now I'm done with the situation. I'm done with you. You know, I know more than likely you're not going to apologize. And that's okay. But I'm done with that situation. I'm done with your ass. I've expressed myself. And that's what you have to learn how to do, in my opinion. And then let that shit go. Don't hold on to it because it ultimately will damage you, but you have to express yourself. Because a lot of times people do shit to you and it's your family members telling you to, oh, well, don't do that or don't say that to them. And it's like y'all saw what they did to me. Y'all saw how they treated me, but you don't want me to feel a certain way or you don't want me to make them feel a certain way because I've decided to treat them. This is how I'm going to treat them now. Because and a lot of times it's just simply saying, I'm not going to fuck with you no more. And you have your own family members who are looking at you like you're the problem. See, you got to learn how to tell those family members, no, fuck you. And no, I think that you're the problem. Because while you're over here uplifting them, you keep constantly putting me down when you're not acknowledging the bullshit that they did to me, when you should be telling them to apologize to me. But you're not doing that. So fuck you too, with love. That's what you have to learn how to start doing. That's what helps me to cope. By expressing myself to people that need to be expressed to. And that's just the bottom line. So I commend Jeezy and Nia Long for this interview. It was a good interview. It was a decent interview. And I just appreciate the what y'all call vulnerability that he had. He was just being real and expressing himself as far as I'm concerned. And in the so-called Black community, the Aborigine, Native, I keep saying native and we're not natives, Aboriginal, Indians, we need to start expressing ourselves. Period and point blank. We just got to start doing it. And stop being afraid to express ourselves and stop condemning us for doing it. We got to quit doing it. Or thinking they're soft because they're expressing themselves. And like Nia Long said in the video, this is the first time that I felt like, a man was being vulnerable, but in a masculine way, and it wasn't weak, And this happens a lot of the time, but it's because of the stereotype and the narrative that she felt the need to even have to say some shit like that in the first place. Because that's not the first time that she saw a masculine man, be quote unquote what everybody want to call vulnerable. She's seen that. And she didn't think nothing less of the man. But because a society says you should think negatively of a man who's being quote unquote vulnerable. And that's just some bullshit. We have to rise above society telling us that it's weak for a man to express himself. So Jeezy being able to express himself and not giving a fuck about this quote unquote backlash, because I don't even see where the backlash would even come from. I don't see what he said that would even, require a backlash. I really don't. But I'm seeing this all on social media, how Black women in particular are just totally dissing Jeezy. Brothers, don't deal with women that have that way of thinking. If kick a bitch like that to the curb. Don't even make babies with a bitch like that has that mentality. And don't even deal with dudes that think you weak because you are expressing yourself. I can't tell you how many times, you would deal with society telling you, don't argue with a woman. No, a woman shouldn't be arguing with no man. Period. You shouldn't be arguing with each one another. I mean, goddamn. That's crazy. But where do you draw the line, from the disrespect that you receive? From a lot of these disrespectful ass bitches who are just downright just disrespectful and don't give a fuck about how they talk, how they act. This is why you need to distance yourself from dumb bitches that have that type of mentality, who will want to criticize Jeezy for expressing himself. in a positive way and not degrading that skank ass bitch, Jeannie Mai. That's a hoe, a whore, a nasty skank ass bitch. And she's a racist too, who just happens to like black dick. Where do we draw the line? But I want you to tell me what you think. Like, share, and subscribe, you guys. Press that thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section. And tell me what you think about the interview. Did you see the interview? Did you check it out? Tell me what you think about, the whole interview. And let me know what you think about it. I will see you all on the next video. Peace out.